Hello, my name is Russell Palmer and I'm a program manager on the BCS team. You're watching the fourth video in the BCS series. In this video we'll be explaining associations and web parts. We've already seen how to use an external content type to create an external list of data in SharePoint. We've also seen how to use this list offline in both Outlook and SharePoint Workspace. Now I'm going to show you how to associate two different external content types and how to view their associated data. As an example, we'll be using some of the BCS Web Parts, so they'll be explained in this video as well. But first, let me explain in detail a bit more about associations. An association is a relationship between two types of entities. For example, the ownership between a person and a dog. Of course, this relationship can be more complicated than one person to one dog. One person can own several dogs, and each dog may have more than one owner. In this example, there is also a relationship between two people entities who are a couple. Another example of an association can be seen in a bank's business system between a customer entity and a transaction entity. Each bank customer has a unique customer account number, which we will define as a primary key to identify that unique customer. Each transaction that takes place also has a unique transaction number, which is the primary key for that transaction. For an instance of either type, there are other pieces of information, such as the name of the customer or the type of transaction. One important piece of information for a transaction is the number of the customer account for which this transaction takes place. As you can see, each transaction processed by John carries his customer account number of 978273. This is called a foreign key. There are a few different types of associations that you can create and use with BCS. SharePoint Designer 2010 provides a wizard in the External Content Type Designer that will allow you to create associations quickly and easily if your external content type contains a foreign key to another type. We can think of these as one-to-many associations. For example, one customer can have many transactions. However, each transaction will only have one customer. You can use Visual Studio 2010 or any XML editor to create the more complicated types of associations, including many-to-many associations not based on foreign keys. Now I'll demonstrate how to create an association using SharePoint Designer. You'll get a sneak peek at the External Content Type Designer, which will be fully explained in an upcoming video. As you can see, I've got my Contoso SharePoint site open, as well as the Shared Service Management page. If I open up the Business Data Connectivity service, I can see a list of the external content types in the BDC metadata store. I can group these by external system and see the three external content types related to my AdventureWorks database. Next, I'm going to open my SharePoint site using SharePoint Designer 2010. With my Contoso site now open, I'll navigate to the External Content Type Designer and see a list of the same external content types we saw previously in the Shared Service Management page. I'll open up the Survey Response External Content Type, and I'm brought to the Summary View page, where I can see all sorts of information about the external content type, including the name, the version, permissions corresponding external lists, as well as the stereotyped operations that this external content type can perform. I'll open up SQL Server Management Studio to show you the database tables that my external content types are constructed from. As you can see, we've got our customers, our dates, as well as our survey responses. Notice that each survey response has a primary key, as well as a foreign key to each of date and customer. On the Summary View page, I can see a list of my existing operations. As you can see, I have two associations, one for customer and one for date. I'll remove the customer association and show you how to recreate it in this demonstration. First, I'll go to Operations Design View. As you can see, I can switch back and forth between views. The first thing you'll see is the Data Source Explorer. I've already added my connection to the AdventureWorks database, and inside of that I can see all of the routines for the database, all of the views, as well as all of the tables. The view you'll notice is quite similar to what you'd see in SQL Server Management Studio. If I scroll down to the survey response table, I can open it up to view the columns and the primary and foreign keys. Since this table contains the foreign keys, I'll be creating the association on it. To create an operation or an association, right-click on the table. Now we'll create the new association, and the Association Creation Wizard will pop up. The first thing I'll do is change the name and display name of my association. I'd like to get surveys for a customer, so I'll use this as the name. Next, I'll be asked to select the related external content type. The external content type related to a survey is customer, so we'll click Browse and select Customer from the external content type picker. In the table below, all primary key identifiers for the related external content type appear. To make this association work with all of the existing operations, we need to map all occurrences of the foreign key field with an identifier. So, map the customer key identifier to the corresponding foreign key field. Next, we'll configure the input parameter to the association we are creating, get surveys for customer, with customer being the input. Map a data source element, typically the foreign key field, from your current external content type to an identifier on the related external content type. Doing this provides a unique identifier to specify a customer item for input to the association. To screen the data returned from the association, create a filter, otherwise press Next. To configure what is returned from the association, map the field from the current external content type to the identifier of the current external content type. Typically, this is done automatically. As you can see, our association was created. I'll save the entity, and in Summary View, we can see the association as well. In part 2 of this video, I'll show you how to use associated data in Web Parts.